Creating photos with emotion is one of the ultimate goals of photography, but there are a set of common mistakes that make some images just fall flat. I've dedicated the last few years of my photography practice entirely to figuring out how to craft images that resonate. So in this video, we're going to cover the 3 missing ingredients that will take your images from snapshots to stories with real feeling. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do it with a real photo story I shot earlier this year. So this past spring, I had the opportunity to photograph a couple friends competing in a Muay Thai competition. That's Thai kickboxing for anybody unfamiliar. And I had exclusive locker room and ringside access, which meant I could follow each fighter from warm-up to fight to aftermath right next to them, documenting their entire journey. Before this, I had never shot live sports, but what I did know is how to tell a genuine photo story that captures real moments and shows emotion and human connection. So what we're going to talk about works regardless of subject matter. There are 3 main ideas that set apart the snapshots of what happened and the photos that capture real feeling and moments. We'll break these down into the mistakes and what you should be doing instead. And these concepts build on each other. They're not fully complete without implementing them all together. So you need all 3 to really make a difference. The first reason why a photo lacks emotion comes from shooting matter of fact instead of using composition as a storytelling tool. Simply pointing your camera at the subject with whatever focal length you have doesn't usually get the job done. What that often produces is a static record, a snapshot. It doesn't fully leverage the power of photography to create emotion. So what can I do photographically with framing and composition to bring out emotion in an image? Well, the same way a film will have meticulously chosen shots and angles to convey the story, there are certain composition techniques you can use in your photos to bring out emotions. When I want to emphasize an emotion and create a human connection with the subject through the camera, I need to get close. Whether that emotion is contemplation, intensity, tension, or happiness, or I want to show a connection like friendship or a team relationship, getting in close highlights those emotions and creates a sense of reality in the image for the viewer. By being in close with the camera, you're highlighting the most important details in that moment and bringing the viewer in as if they're actually there experiencing it too. When the camera is removed from the moment, as in too far away, it creates an emotional distance with the viewer. There's a separation and the viewer isn't pulled into the moment. What that distance is of course situational. Sometimes you're going to need more context, so going in way super close isn't always the right answer. But often the closer you can get while still showing the necessary information, the better. Now, this doesn't mean shooting wider is wrong, you just have to do it purposefully. So on the flip side, another technique I like to use to convey a different set of emotions is negative space or environmental framing. If I want to create a feeling of freedom, calmness, isolation, stillness, or vastness, I'll leave large areas of empty space or just environment without major distractions and let the subject be a little smaller in the frame. Being in competition feels like nothing else exists, and there's a lot running through your head leading up to a fight. And I can highlight those feelings of isolation or stillness with negative space. And depending on how it's done, I can also use negative space to create tension and release. Tension in how I might highlight a single individual in a larger space, and release in how I might document a happy moment after tension by using a wider frame to let the viewer finally breathe if I'm shooting in a series like I did here. Sort of like a catharsis for the story. So I'm either in as close as possible for the context I need to show, or I'm pulled back intentionally using wider framing and negative space to bring out other emotions. I find being in that middle ground where you're not close enough to emphasize emotion but not pulled back enough for environmental impact to be that gray area where emotion is lost and there becomes a disconnect between the subject and the viewer. Not always, but it's something to consider. The second mistake I see is shooting and editing for technical perfection instead of aiming to create atmosphere. What this often looks like is simply photos being too bright and lifting shadows too much to see everything. Drama and mood and emotion come from the shadows and letting the light show what's important. On top of that, another thing I see is when colors are being edited to be a perfect representation of what real life is versus being used intentionally to bring out emotions. If you need dramatic intensity, try black and white. If you want connection, nostalgia, intimacy, or an inviting feeling, go warmer. If you need calmness, solitude, or isolation, try going cooler. Photos don't have to be a perfect representation of what you saw with your eyes. A little stylization for atmosphere, done with restraint of course, because you can go overboard with it, often leads to a more impactful result. Think of it like picking your film stock for the vibe that you want. But modern cameras shoot everything almost perfectly, so we have to now edit for the right mood. I'll see images that if they were just a little darker, the shadows a little less lifted, and a little bit warmer, it would make a massive difference. The power in photography is being able to represent things in a way that's different from how we naturally see. The camera can't see the full range of light to dark that our eyes do, but often that can be a powerful storytelling tool if you're using light and shadow intentionally. So shooting for atmosphere, letting your shadows be shadows, letting your exposure create the drama, and shifting colors intentionally to create mood are what make your photos resonate. The final and arguably most important piece of the puzzle, the biggest difference between photos that fall flat and those that have emotion, is capturing a genuine human moment. The mistake being capturing what happened instead of capturing what was felt. This is the heart of it all. So what do I look for to capture a genuine human moment? I want to be looking for action and motion, the interaction between people, displays of emotion, gestures, or gazes, the way people come together, a close interaction between two people, the look in someone's eyes, the confidence in their posture. These are the moments that set the images with emotion apart from those that show someone just standing there with a blank expression or just walking. Maybe they have an awkward face on. As a photographer, you need to be hyper aware of what's going on around you. You need to be really observant so you can anticipate moments happening and be ready to capture them. If I'm focused on one person and I see another person of significance start talking to them, I'm getting ready to take a photo of that interaction. If it's just me and my subject, I'm gonna spend some time talking to them first. I wanna understand how they're feeling before I pull out the camera. And then I'll fade into the background and let them do their thing, assuming I'm not directing them. Now I have a prompt that tells me what sort of expressions and emotions to look for. And I've always got my camera in hand with my finger on the shutter, so it doesn't take much to lift it to my eye and capture something if it happens quickly. This also requires an intuitive understanding of your camera. Spend some time learning what all the dials do so you don't have to think too much about changing them. See how using a faster shutter speed requires a higher ISO to get the same exposure, and know what dials you need to use to get there. If there's a need for a video that goes in depth about how to intuitively understand your camera, like it's an extension of your arm, I can absolutely make that. But really, it's that awareness and constant observation, always looking for genuine human moments to capture, alongside the intuitive understanding of your camera, that are going to make the biggest difference. And when you put it all together, using composition and framing as a storytelling tool, shooting for atmosphere instead of technical perfection, and capturing genuine human moments, you get photographs with emotion that resonate. If you learned something new in this video and want to learn more about storytelling and photography, I have an entire video that goes in depth on that topic you can watch here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.